I'm going to show you how to make a single barge wall ride, just an easy, nothing to it really. Pretty much the same as my last tutorial on how to make a cunning stunt wall ride, but today we're going to do it with the barges. And we'll work down here at the airport, which a lot of people prefer to do because you have big flat space to work with. Much easier. There's my lighter. Alright. Alright. I am starting from scratch, so I don't already have templates put down. So this will probably take about 15 minutes or so. Go to the buoys and platforms, floating platform. And I want to work, I guess right about here is fine. Don't matter. I look for lines on the ground to work with. And the barge side, obviously, for experienced creators, don't need to even watch this, but if you're making a single barge for your first time, this is the side you're going to use. Remember, you're able to ride on the bottom part. So I will place this. Let's take a look at advanced rotation. Okay. That's weird. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and place this down here. That one's not quite sitting on the ground. Don't think it matters, but I am going to do it again just in case. Get rid of that one. And just start connecting. I did 12 of these, which gave me the exact same distance that I used on the cunning stunt prop for the inflatable air gates, or the cones, or whatever that was, for the flow. What am I at right now? One, two, three, four. 6. Halfway there. That's 11, and that's 12. And the reason why I'm using these is only because I'm not sure if building templates with cunning stunt props infects a race or not. So I try to keep everything true to land race as far as creating this. And then you get yourself a cement bag again. Everybody has a certain way they do everything. This is the only way that I've learned for myself. We'll try to set that down there and go ahead and create a template. Once again, if you're new to creating, this should be helpful for you. When you create your template, of course, you're always going to use your cement bag as your primary prop. That's what you're pivoting off of. That's your turn. So you select that and select all of these barges here, every single one of them. If you miss one, prop will turn red. That's why we are selecting every single one of them. And you are able to connect to your very last piece, which is this one here. Now you'll go ahead and take all these out because you don't need all this extra proppage as you're making your template. So deselect all of these props by hitting square, except for your cement bag and the first barge that you laid down. And the reason why you're saving the first barge is because you're looking for lines that you could work with, kind of point of reference lines to make sure that every turn that you've made is about the same. So these are the ones that I'm saving, so I'll save template, exit out. I believe I can work up on top of this airport cafe, which I heard they closed down many years ago, like 5-6 years ago. Sucks. Alright. So, work right up here. Now the lines that I'm using are mainly the edge, the orangest edge of the barge on top. Place this down. You delete, and all I've deleted was the sandbag, so now I still have the other barge. Now you can see this would be way too far of a turn. I would have a separation between the two barges if I tried to go at this distance. As you can see, when we get to it, that's huge. So you want them side by side naturally, otherwise that might break you a little bit. So delete, template, start over. The only reason why I'm using this particular area on the map is because it's just a nice point and it's out of the way of everything. You could use the top of the Maze Bank building or anything that's where, you know, it's not obstructing your view. But I'm using this for now. So to me, it looks like I gotta be maybe around there. Not sure if this distance is right. I think if we go take a look. They are connecting. A few of them are a little bit off. You can see the distance between the two barges when they're connecting here. So the barge that I'm using as a reference point is actually a little bit difficult for me to get a perfect separation between, or a connection between the two. But the connection that is here now is definitely drivable. There's no bricky issues. It lines up perfectly. I mean, you could see right here, I'm in the center of the two props meeting. You can see the distance of that, and then that's the center of that one, and this one got significantly smaller, but it is still clean and drivable. There's nothing for you to fuck up on. So, with that being said, it's the same concept as my last video. Do as many as you like, whatever. 30 props is usually what it takes to do a quarter of a circle. I can't find any other points to use on this barge as a reference point except for these lines here. This is the ones I'm going over the top. That's what I'm using, and you can see that they're not perfect. You can see one of them is a little bit messed up. A few of them are, but it still connects. And I'm sure there's other props you can use as a reference prop, but I discovered this yesterday and noticed that this works. So And once again, like I said, I think in the previous video, the further back you are from your wall ride itself, the smallest little angle that you turn it to could be disastrous. So right now I'm at 12 props distance between the primary prop and the wall ride. The further you go back, the harder it's going to be to make something line up perfectly. Smallest little turn affects it greatly on the other side, like a little butterfly effect. That one's off. I can see a black line in that one. It should still connect, but that one's a little further away than I want it to be. But we'll see what happens in a moment. Okay, so far with the spacing that I have, it's going to take more than 30 props just to do a quarter turn of a circle. So I'm already at 70, so now I'm kind of breezing through this pretty quickly, but you get the idea of what I'm using as a point of reference. And like any creator will tell you as he's showing you how to make a template, take your time. It's going to pay off in the long run when everybody's doing your race. You don't want to have huge areas where somebody can see a flaw. You want to try and do your best you can. Take your time. Once again, I'm kind of firing through this. And one or two more should give me a quarter of a circle. Alright, so that's that. And then you come back and you take a look at your wall and see how the pieces have connected. Now, from a distance, I already can see a bunch that aren't lined up perfectly. But it's still closed off. So far, everything's closed off. That one got close. This one, that one right there is really close to not being good. It's too far away, further away I would like. It should be connected. And that must have been that black line that I saw. And this one as well, not so good. But once again, I was speeding through this, and like I said, this is just a kind of like a rough draft on how to do a single barge. And like I said, the distance between this and the primary prop was 12 barges in length, and that's what gave me this angle. And again, the further you go back, the harder it is to connect. It's just the smallest little turn. And once I delete all this stuff, so that's 117. It's going to leave me with about 50-something props. Is what I used to make that wall. Then there's a few on the ground still on the airport, I believe. Oh yeah, there's a whole. So that's the, once again, that's the template I used. I just saved the primary prop being the cement bag and this first one, and I deselected every single one of these except for the very last one, which we used as the wallride. And what the outcome was a little bit sloppy, but I mean, you know, you get the idea of what to do. I deleted the entire template instead of the props. But so you see, that's one method of doing it. I'm sure there's a million different ways to do the same exact thing. It's the same thing in Photoshop. It would be the same thing in Creator. It's a million different ways to do the same exact thing. This is just one method that I've found that seems to work. So once again, you spend your time on it, you can have a very clean looking wall ride. One of these days I will dabble in making a land race. I have still yet to make one. I have only made cunning stunt races. And, you know, so. And the connection is shitty because I did it very quickly. But as you can see, it's still, you can see where the connecting points are. Some are very big on this one, but all in all, it's a clean, very smooth, single barge. And that's a technique I'll be using for whenever I decide to make a wall ride out of this godforsaken prop. Anyways, thanks for watching. Maybe I'll show you another spiral tutorial or something stupid or whatever along the way. But I'm only doing this because I see other creators, new creators, making things really sloppy these days. And I just think there's just not enough tutorials out there in order for them to be helped. When you look for something, sometimes you'll find something in a different language they don't speak, or there's no verbalization whatsoever. So I'm just trying to help anybody else out. I'm a noob myself, but I have figured out some certain methods by watching. Ven play was my first person that I ever watched. I learned a lot from him. Watching some of Gilmore's and Triple C's and Max Torque and Sane One. A lot of guys that put out tutorials. I mean, very helpful. It just seems like there should be more for certain things. And if I can contribute a little bit, that's good, you know, because nobody wants to do a shitty race. So, that being said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go find something to do. I appreciate you tuning in. I'll be back on later. All right, have a good one.